you, President Chair. Okay, sorry, I just got the pop-up for the recording. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, so members, I would like to ask you to join me in extending a warm and welcome, a warm welcome to Inspector David Onyuka. Inspector Onyuka was born 49 years ago in the Kano Plains of Kisumu County and spent his foundation years in Webuye and Kakamega. He is married and blessed with 3 children. In 1992, he was recruited into the then Kenya Police Force and underwent his initial training, graduating in November of 1992. As a police officer, he has served in various regions of Kenya, namely Coast, Central, Northeastern, and is now posted in Rift Valley, Kajiado County. Over the last 28 years, Inspector Onyuka has risen through the ranks and currently serves as an inspector and traffic-based commander for Ongata-Rongai. He also holds a diploma in forensic and criminal investigations from Egerton University, along with various certificates from the Police College in basic traffic management and investigation, traffic management and investigation, advanced traffic management and investigation, and one which I found very interesting, a certificate in speed management. Inspector Onyuka describes himself as firm but fair, sociable, and somebody very easy to engage with. He also has a passion for road safety matters, and members, you can agree with me that he's well placed to speak with us on road safety basics. Inspector David Karibu, Rotary Club of Nairobi Kikiri, the floor is yours.
Karibu sana. Thank you, Noni.
Thank you, Mr. President, for having me. I'm actually delighted to join you guys and share with you a few insights on matters road safety. You have already had my profile. This is my domain. I'm also delighted that on this same platform, I have already identified some 3 familiar faces. It's a great thing reconnecting with some very old friends, men that I met about 30 years ago. All the same, I have prepared a presentation for you. My presentation will, on the first phase, I'll be giving you the precautions that we need to go nowadays. And in the second phase, I will be enlightening you on the duties of a driver after a road traffic accident, what you're supposed to do after an accident occurs, and then what to expect at a point. This definitely will be modeled around the Kenyan aspect. Straight away, if you allow me, the issue here at hand is about safety on our roads. And you may be asking yourselves why probably information for you. Going by the statistics of, say, last year alone, 2020, these are the figures that really will paint a very clean picture of what is going on. In 2020, in Kenya, we lost 3,572 people on our roads. We also recorded 6,938 serious injuries. We also recorded a further 5,186 slight injuries. In total, we had 15,696 victims of accident in 1 year. That number compared to what Corona has done to our still alarming. So then this calls for us.
Okay, we have lost you. We have lost you, Mr. Onyuka. We have lost you. We can't hear you.
That I should take you back to the basics, because that if we kept abreast with, then probably we would retrace our steps and know that allow me to remind you the number 1 rule of the road. It says, keep left unless overtaking. Very important. keep left unless overtaking. It goes further to say, overtake only when it is necessary and when it is safe to do so. Underline the word necessary and safe. Overtake when it is necessary and when it is safe to do so. Having said that, I will also remind you of the general causes of accidents on our Kenyan roads. There are several, the leading one being human error. Number two is obstruction on our roads. Number three is mechanical defects of the vehicles, that is. We also have road defects. We have bad weather. And finally, animals crossing the road unguided. But on this day, I want to focus on human error. Under human error, there are two leading causes of accidents or road crash on our roads today. And this is overspeed and drunk driving. Those two categories of causes have been identified to be the leading ones. And these are the that I am sure we are still in control. At your individual level, there is something you can do to avert this. Human error, still we have distraction of driver, menace being on mobile phone, use of mobile phone while driving. It has a distracting effect. There is also poor lane discipline. Drivers, most road users do not know which lane to keep when going where. And in that confusion, we end up with crashes that could otherwise have been avoided. We also have careless or reckless driving by our drivers. There is overloading. And then we have fatigued drivers, especially the long distance drivers, those who do long haulage, say from Mombasa across the borders. They leave the normal hours, driving hours, which is 8, in an effort to reach either the next or make more money. So under human error, these are things that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the police, you know that you are directly in charge of these things and you can avert crash. I want to take you through some of the mistakes that we make on the road that, in my opinion, could help us avert a crash. Overtaking at a blind corner. Most drivers tend to overtake at a corner, oblivious of what is coming from the other, just imagining that he is safe, and eventually will crash. It is advisable that to avoid fatigue, if you have planned your day well and you know that you are set for a long journey, it is advisable that you start on time. But prior to starting your journey, you should have had enough rest so that your energies are collected for this particular journey. When proceeding on a long journey, intervals of 1 to 2 hours, just pull off the road, stretch yourself, and get new energy, refresh yourself, and then go back to the steering wheel. This way, you will be strong enough to undertake a long journey with those frequent breaks that I've talked about. On pedestrians, something that looks very basic, pedestrian crossing areas, some drivers do not even observe them, and some pedestrians also jump onto them with that mindset that the right is exclusive. On our roads, on any road, we normally say in the police service, assume you are the only sane driver on the road. If you want to be safe, you should assume that you are the only sane driver on the road, so that it is your duty to protect yourself and protect yourself from that other driver who could either be drunk or an underage or unqualified. These are key areas that we need to focus if we have to save lives on our roads. We are losing a number, and one death is one too many. I want to talk about basics. When you want to set off for a journey, or even just on a daily basis, it's important that either you check your tire pressure. Remember, an imbalance in the tire pressure will affect your braking system. The ability to brake is affected if the tire pressure is imbalanced. So number one, you need to check your tire pressure on a daily basis. As you begin your journey, pass by a petrol station, just make sure they are all standard. Check your wipers, just in case of rain. Check your brake lights, and check your headlamps if you'll be driving throughout the night. At all times, while seated in a vehicle, it is important that you keep your belts fastened for your own safety. And for motorcycle riders, helmet is a must. Helmet saves lives. And for a motorcycle rider and his pillion passenger, you must at all times keep your helmet on. For those of us who do jogging, either in the morning or late in the evening, to note that when jogging, you should be running against traffic. At no time should you face your back at traffic. That way, you are able to see any danger is approaching you. Number two, if there are any sidewalks provided along the road, it is safer for you to jog out of the main road, off-road, so that you're safe from any possibility of a crash. That is very important for joggers. At the same time, it is expected of the joggers to be seen. You must be visible. So then this calls for you to put on a reflective jacket at all times so that you can be spotted from afar. And probably with just that little caution, you will avoid an accident. Our motto at all times to motorists is to be seen, arrive alive. The speed that is the speed that kills. And this is key because on the issue of speeding, I just want to give you generally that you need about 20 effective stop, total stop a motor vehicle. If you are a driver and you are doing 100, you need a space of about 23 meters to completely come to a stop. So then this calls for caution. You should never trust your brakes as such. Anything can happen. You need to keep distance from the vehicle ahead of you as you also watch the one behind you. This is important because most of the accidents that we have witnessed happening in our areas are out of gross negligence. Speed and drunk driving are the main causes of crashes. I just wanted to touch on that so that you are reminded of your responsibility either as a pedestrian or a motorcyclist or a driver. And now, this other topic in my phase 2 of presentation, the duties of a driver after an accident. I know that this is a very crowded area. Most people do not know, and I've seen a lot of panic in drivers at police station level. They do not know what to expect, what next. Some of them are easily intimidated to enlighten. And I would say this. In the unfortunate event of an accident, you are involved in an accident. Number one duty of a driver is to stop. Stop at the scene. And again, you have to be careful not to cause further obstruction. So that if there's a way you can pull your vehicle slightly off the road, the better, so that you don't inconvenience other road users. So number one thing is to stop and give help to a victim. Suppose, for example, you're a pedestrian. It is a moral duty to find a way that this pedestrian or this victim can move to Oxford. That would be good enough. Number two duty of a driver is that when policemen arrive, traffic policemen arrive, you have a duty to provide your details, which includes name and address of yourself, details of your insurance, and in case the driver is not the owner of the motor vehicle, you have to give the details of the owner, name and address of the owner. Still on the issue of stopping, whereas it is important to stop after an accident, you must weigh an eventuality that you may be attacked. We have seen cases where motorists are attacked by mobs or even border operators, the kind of injustice that you all know. It is allowed, nothing stops you escaping from the scene of an accident, but such escape should lead you to the nearest police station. You don't have to escape and go home for good. You escape as you seek help at the nearest police station. Immediately you reach a police station, you will get policemen who will accompany you back to the scene of accident. That way, you will have worked for your own safety and probably the safety of your victim. That you must also note. The third duty of a driver, and this I know is a controversial one. Most of you are always caught off of that. The law requires you to report an accident to the nearest police station and not later than 24 hours. Yes. Unless issues that are beyond your control. For example, I'll give you an example where you may be exempted from the 24-hour rule. Suppose you're involved in an accident and you, the driver, you are injured and you're probably unconscious. It goes without saying that you may not have an opportunity to report the accident within the stipulated time. But at the first opportunity, you are expected to make your station, go to a police officer, and make sure you record the statement and report the accident. So we have agreed on three duties of a driver: is stopping and giving help, giving your details and details of your insurance, and finally reporting the accident. That is very key and should be noted. But now we are still at the scene of accident, and now we are planning how to move these vehicles. Another controversial area, I just wish to alert you that it is within your right. You can call your own breakdown if you have, so long as it will not cause an amount of delay and cause further traffic jam. You can call your own breakdown if you deal with the one that is being offered by police. These are the nearest breakdown. So then it goes without saying that you're allowed to bargain. You are allowed to bargain the towing charges, and if it fits your bill, you let him tow. If the vehicle can drive itself, or rather if you can drive your vehicle to station, it is not badly damaged, we will allow you to do so, because again, there's no need of incurring unnecessary expenses. Having arrived at a position, what follows? The number one why we tow vehicles to police station is only to facilitate inspection, NTSA personnel. Number two reason is so that the driver may record his statement. But immediately you arrive at a police station, you are supposed to be issued with a warning. It is called P72, Notice of Intended Prosecution. On most occasions, I find so many drivers panicking on receipt of this paper. Please note that this paper is issued to all parties to an accident, both drivers. If it is 3 vehicles, the 3 drivers will all be served with this notice. That every driver must be warned legally that investigations are underway, and if it's found, such action may be taken against him. If at the end of the inquiry, a driver is exonerated of blame, police will withdraw that notice of intended prosecution. And if you are found culpable, the next thing is that police will either ask you to pay cash bail and appear in court at a later date, or they may even issue you with a notice to attend court, what you call free bond. You will still have an opportunity to attend court because these are basically misdemeanors. Traffic offenses are generally petty. And so there's room for everything. There's room, we are that flexible. We will attend to you depending on the severity of the charge before us. But most importantly, we do not prefer taking statements immediately after the accident, for the simple reason that we want drivers to stabilize mentally fast before we can take their statements. You'll all agree with me that immediately after an accident, there's some element of confusion that cuts across, and you may not the police station. We will let you go and even be checked by your doctor, then back the following day, and we continue the procedure. So hence, that is basically how we handle accidents at a police station. And yes, that is how we handle accidents at a police station. And I think it's important that you, our clients, get to know this. You panic because of that notice of intended prosecution. It is just a statutory requirement that you are served with that notice. But at the end of it all, if you're not culpable, you will have it withdrawn. I thought we should share with you these things because as a commander, I have that. I have noted people who will miss their sleep because they have been served with a notice of intended prosecution. It is not an indication that you'll be charged after all. It is just notice of commencement of investigation. Vehicles that will be subjected to inspection are either when vehicles are extensively damaged following an accident, that one inspection is a must. Number two,
let's have everyone else muted. Let's have everyone muted, please.
But for non-injuries, inspection is not necessary, and the vehicles, after taking details at the scene of accident, you can easily drive your vehicle to choice garage as we take the details to go and book in the OP. So basically, that is what is expected at a police station after an accident. You should be aware of this. But at the same time, you are encouraged to ask questions because if you do not know, you are likely to suffer in silence. And this takes me back to my first presentation. When you choose, for example, to board an already overloaded matatu, you have chosen to die in silence. You are beaten by a drunk driver, a reckless driver, but you just decide to keep quiet, and immediately you fracture your leg. Say, oh, this man was doing terrible speed. Speak up. We're encouraging members of public to speak up, make some, I'm sure you must get some support in that same bus or matatu, and will have to tone down. It's imperative, it's important that you speak out because this is about your safety. Whether on our roads, safe, you have no business hanging around. Thank you, Mr. President. At the end of my presentation, and if you may, then I will welcome questions on any area of interest in matters. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Base Commander Onyuka, for that very informative presentation. Of course, you can imagine how many questions you'll be having today because all of us have, I think, have had issues with the road, either as passengers or as drivers, or as victims, or as, you know, the ones who caused the accident and things like that. But before I invite the members to ask questions and also the guests, let me just take you back, Bona Inspector, to one or two areas which maybe you did not cover in your presentation. There's that contentious issue of the policeman has stopped you for a traffic offense, and they tell you they want to enter your car to accompany them to the police station. And I remember there's a law which was passed. I don't know whether it was a traffic law or an act of government, parliament, where the policeman is not supposed to enter your car. What is your view about that? Are they supposed to enter your car, or
Thank you, Mr. President.
have a right to tell them no?
Thank you, Mr. President. This question has in several forums. I know it's a matter of concern for many people, but I want you to look at it this way. The law allows a police officer to stop a motor vehicle, search the motor vehicle, drive the motor vehicle, or cause the motor vehicle to be driven to a police station. Ideally, this is a reciprocal arrangement. For example, what are the options available? You have been arrested for an offense. This is an officer on foot patrol. You have to drive your vehicle, for example. If this officer is a licensed, nothing stops him from driving this vehicle to a police station. That is number one, because that is covered by law. Two, there is no harm allowing an officer to harm you. So yes, my direct answer to your question is a police officer may drive or cause to be driven your vehicle to a police station. So by causing it to be driven, he is probably one of the people driving it, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Then the second one, which I've found again is an issue, where the first thing they ask you maybe after being arrested is they ask you for your driving license. And then if you happen to have forgotten it at home, or it's not in the car, maybe it's in your office or somewhere else, most of the time drivers panic, and I'm just saying some policemen take that as another offense. But is there somewhere in the law whereby it's not mandatory to have your DL with you, and probably you have some time frame within which you're supposed to avail it? Is it an offense not to drive a car without a DL unless you produce it within 24 hours?
Well, before we migrated to the digital platform, where now your license can be checked over your phone, it was an offense not to carry a license. That was to present a license at any other police station, police officer. But now on the new platform where anybody can access your license through alternative means, and of course, we have also migrated with technology, and we are no longer license is no longer a big issue for day-to-day operations, because we have alternatives of checking. But should you not have a license, you should not worry. Just comply. If he wants to give you a notice of intended, a notice to attend court, take it. Then 48 hours, you can present your license. Or you can move to the nearest cyber cafe and have it printed. And there you are. So it's not an issue, unless for those who want to drag us down. But most of us have moved, and we have accepted that technology has taken us to a new level, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I'll open the floor to all the Rotarians, the guests. The floor is open. You can feel free to ask Inspector Onyuka any question. It's very rare for us to get a senior policeman with us. And you must agree with me, he's very open, he's very candid. So let's feel free to ask all those questions we have been harboring. The floor is open. Anyone can go.
Let me ask the first question, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity. And Inspector, this is Charles Maloba, currently in the US, but I'm always at home anyway. Inspector, what is you're taking in the case? I was driving in a policeman struck my windscreen in the sense of stopping me, struck my windscreen with his fimbo, and there was a crack on my windscreen. Then he told me, go ahead and sue the state. I didn't have any time to argue with him. I just drove away, and I had what am I supposed to do in such a case?
Wow, Charles Maloba.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother. It's nice to reconnect with you about 30 years later.
Oh
Yes,
yes.
I told them we shared a classroom some time back. Now,
That's
this is outrightly unlawful, if at all, and I'm really sorry that you went through such a bad experience in the hands of an officer. That is out. Officer has any right to damage your property or your vehicle under the guise of enforcing the law. If you had time, you could have pursued it further than that. You could have pursued it further than that. That is outrightly wrong. There are no two words about. We are trained personnel. That's why we are from publics. We should have some resilience and should not lose our cool. The basic thing is to remain professional at all times, at all levels, so that people can draw a line between us and the people we serve. It was very unfair, quite unfortunate, Charles Malaba.
thank you, Inspector.
And is there a compensation mechanism for such damage if someone wishes to pursue the matter?
Well, yes, you will be taking on him, one, as an individual. You choose to pursue him at a personal level. You can choose to pursue him as an agent of the state. But there's a third option. Knowing the person that you are, you can choose to forgive him, Charles Malaba. And I'm sure you'll have picked a lesson or two.
True.
That's very true.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, members?
Yes, I have a second question, if you allow me to ask.
Yes, Mr. Oyange.
Thank you so much, Inspector Onyuka. My name is Oyange. I'm talking to you from Qatar. I just want to ask a very one question only. On the 29th of July, I was traveling from Kisumu towards Nairobi. Just before taking to Limuru, I had an accident. There was a lorry in front of me, and the weather was not clear. It was misty and foggy. So the lorry stopped instantly, and I rammed into the lorry. And the car that was behind me also hit me, and ended up like 10 cars hitting each other. Immediately we stopped, and after about 20 minutes, the policemen came. They came in a small Peugeot station wagon. And the officer stood by the side of the road and writing on a paper. So he told me, he asked me, are you going to move your insurance and bring it over to me? Or I'm supposed to see it from the windscreen? I didn't know what to answer, so I just told him, sir, just read it from the windscreen, it's okay. I didn't know I had annoyed the officer. So what the guy did, he wrote the charges for everybody, and then entered this car and told me in Swahili, utatafuta quotation. Left in the road there with my car. I had to call the guys to come and tow my car from Limuru to Nairobi. Where the police station is, the weather was foggy. I didn't know where to start. So I'm just asking Inspector Onyuka, if you are in an accident, are you supposed to go to your car and peel off the insurance and give it to the officer, or are you supposed to go and read it from the windscreen? Because this is the mistake that I did, and I was left there on the road.
Wow.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for this question. As I told you, we are one family of police officers with this. For me, I could have handled it differently, much differently. Insurance is sent digitally to our emails. It's not even necessary to plug insurance from vehicles on the road. Still, you can get it printed from your phone, from your WhatsApp, or from your. So that's why I'm saying we are one large family with people. Yes, attitudes and what should I call it? That was uniquely suitable to that officer. I must say that if you are telling me that he left this and did not accommodate or rather facilitate your movement, again, that is equally wrong, because we have a duty of ensuring free flow of traffic. So if he left you at the point of accident, at the scene of accident, then again, this was a potential cause of another crash, because you are definitely causing obstruction if you are still on the tarmac. This was professional, I must say. It could have been done better. The ideal practice is, number one, to make sure all vehicles are removed to safety, all obstruction is cleared, so that we don't end up with more crashes. I know that section is quite foggy, and I'm sure at the end of the investment, your vehicle was blamed down up to the 10th vehicle. Procedure is he would refer you to insurance, he would refer all vehicles to insurance and blame your vehicle, most likely. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yange, for your question. And Polly, about the accident, we hope you did not get any serious injuries out of it. And actually, any other question before I ask something? I rejoined to that question. Any other question from any other member, any other guest?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President and Inspector Onyuka. My name is Ken Masharia. I'm a guest to this forum. And my question is, in case of a self-accident, an accident where there is no other motorist involved or a pedestrian, should the prosecution follow after that? And the other question is, why don't police stations have a pay bill number for payment of cash bills? Thank you.
All right, thank you for that very good question. Self-involving accidents, most occasions, there's no other party other than you, the person involved. But they will certainly end up in court if we establish drunk driving, that is driving under influence of alcohol, or maybe reckless driving on your part. You will probably up in court. There's nothing that stops us from charging a driver who is involved in an accident if there are other issues attached to this. But if it is an accident which had to happen, there are those that must happen. And that's why they're called accidents. More often than not, we just refer the insurance and we let you go. And even the vehicle in the first place is never towed to a police station. You're allowed to tow it to your garage. You just come with the details. Second question, you're asking why we do not have pay bill to ease the payment of cash bill. That is our wish, ultimately. We want to get there, but it is a management issue that must cascade from our headquarters. If and when they roll it out, we will be glad to serve you emotionally. That is the ideal place that we should be, but currently we've not it out. Things are still fairly manual. We will make I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Maybe members, at this point, I'd like to request, if it is okay with everyone, we are supposed to end at 8, but since we started 15 minutes late, is it okay with everyone if we extend the session for another 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes.
Members, is okay?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, Mr.
Yes,
President.
it's okay.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. We'll extend the session by another 15 minutes. Any other question to Inspector Onyuka?
I have a question to Inspector Onyuka.
Continue, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Shamala, Catch 90. Come from Kakamega. So I just wanted to know why the speed limit the police are making speed limit as a trap. Is it supposed to be a trap, or it is supposed to help people to know where they should limit the speed? And in some places, like in Kakamega, we have places where the speed limit starts is showing, and where it ends, it is not showing. So can I be victimized if I observed the speed limit for a few meters and then I started speeding off? Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph Shamala. Another
Yeah.
old boy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear you on this occasion. We are using, we are doing it for a very good reason. We are trying to slow down speeding drivers to avoid crashes. But again, I've had your concern. You are saying, you are asking whether they should be concealed themselves or they should be out there. The current standing instructions that we have in the National Police Service is that the person taking speed, the person handling speed camera, excuse me, should be visible, should be seen on the road, because the idea is deterrent more than apprehension. Arrest should just come as a last resort. Our mission generally is to deter. So then a cameraman operating speed camera should not conceal himself as such. We have no other.
Thank you.
Where we are. Again, the issue of speed signs, we have not in the hands of vandalism. Today they are there, tomorrow there. So take note that each day before we load cameras on our roads, we do check physically whether the speed signs are still there. Because again, it would be wrong to trap you, to be seen to have been snooping on you. That is not our mission. The whole idea is just to let you know that we are there. Slow down, Mr. Shamala.
Thank you very much, classmate.
Asante sana, I'm glad.
Maybe two more questions. Two more questions from the floor.
Hello,
Mr.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay, maybe the AG could go first.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Beatrice, and how are you, Mr. President and Inspector Onyuka? My question. Thank you. My question is to Inspector Onyuka. You mentioned earlier that the PSV drivers, the long distance especially, should drive for 8 hours. That's the stipulated law. However, we find they drive for longer hours than that with very little rest. So in case an accident happens, is it fair or is it unfair for them to be penalized for this? Or how are they supposed to be treated in case something like this happens?
Well, the law is there to guide on amount of time you are supposed to drive continuously. It is good for as long as you've not been involved in an accident or arrest. At the moment you're involved in an accident, we go back to the recordings of your vehicle. Remember, all these are commercial vehicles that have got a speed limiter. The speed limiter records speed all times. So when it is read backwards, we will definitely know that you've been driving continuously for this number of hours. Transport companies have an obligation to make sure that this thing is adhered to. But again, we are just that, Kenyans, human beings, we want to play around with the law whenever it suits us, but the law. So when an accident happens, we read your speedometer backwards. The speed governor. I hope I answered you, Maris.
Let me just go back just slightly. Because I work a lot with PSV drivers, I actually train them. But when you make them aware that they actually know they're supposed to be driving for 8 hours, but they always blame the employer. So I wonder whether there is any way the police and the employers can work together to maybe favor the driver a little bit. I don't know, because it's something that I also find I struggle to answer that question. So guide me.
Well, I hear you. Ordinarily and by law now, owners of fleets are supposed to maintain a timetable that should indicate departure and arrival. And so then when the driver is caught having driven for more than necessary or more than allowed time, then this exposes, of course, the motor vehicle owner or the company owner to a similar charge. Yes, I agree with you that most companies have found a way of arrive early and make more trips. We know that that practice is going on. It remains illegal, but yes, I agree with you with the policy formula that is NTSA and National Police Service Traffic Department. If we got down to it, I'm sure it is curable. We can find around it and to make sure that this law is adhered to, because most accidents are caused by fatigue. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Inspector.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Robert.
I have a question for guest speaker. I have two questions actually. The first is, if you're driving on a road, let's say you're going from Nairobi to Nakuru and the bus in front of you is being recklessly driven, is there a way that you can easily report that bus? That's the first question. And the second question, I needed you to clarify on whether if you're arrested on the road and you do not have the license with you, how long do you have to provide it to the police? And again, is it the officer who arrested you that you're going to show the license to, or is it the police station that the officer belongs to? Yeah, two questions.
In answer to your first question, if you're driving along a highway and you realize that the bus or the vehicle ahead of you is being driven recklessly, you are at liberty to call the toll-free number, which is 999, and it will get to us, and it will then be able to communicate with the next station up there to make sure that the vehicle is intercepted and the driver is arrested. You can also alert any officer on the road, because we have officers almost everywhere, especially our major highways. You can alert them and then they will take it up for you. Normally, once you call 999, that information will trickle down, whichever station is concerned. That one will reach us. In answer to your second question about license, I had addressed this. Failure to carry a license is a traffic offense, but it has a window. It gives you 48 hours to present license, either to the police officer who arrested you, or the station where you are arrested, or to any other station. It does not limit you. You can present that to any other station, and then that station has a way of communicating with the police station. It is that flexible. I hope I've answered this.
Yes, thank you, Inspector, for the clarification. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Bashir.
Bashir Noor.
Yes.
Bashir Noor.
Karibu Bashir.
Dante, I want to ask a question to Mr. Onyuka. What constitutes dangerous loading? And if I have my station wagon and I've just put a piece of timber that does not protrude from the vehicle, is that dangerous loading?
Thank you. Thank you, my Bashir. Good to have you here as well, another classmate. You are asking me whether it is unlawful to carry timber on your station wagon?
Yes, and it is not protruding from the vehicle.
Well, if the cargo on a small car is not protruding, there is no offense. There is disclosed there. It only becomes an offense when the cargo you are carrying protrudes outside the vehicle
What if there is the vehicle has a carrier?
Oh, yes. Saloon cars ideally are not designed for that kind of usage. And that's why we have light transport. Whereas you may have a carrier, the load should not pass the length of the car. That is the general rule. But of course, we recognize that carriers are used to carry goods even from market to the other. Ideally, I see no offense disclosed there.
Actually, to be precise, I was once arrested for dangerous loading that I had put on my Pro Box that has a carrier, and I had put a seat that was not protruding from the vehicle. And they still charged me for dangerous loading.
I think knowing Bashir that I know, you should have pleaded not guilty to this charge. And I'm sure some other places you listened to. This is a case that police will definitely lose.
No, actually, I went to court and they never came to court.
They shied off.
At the moment, I'm left to sue the police.
Family interpretation of the law is different, and yes, that was quite unfortunate, I should say. Bashir, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm taking that as an apology for the police.
Oh, thank you, my brother. I even expected you to ask me more about, you've been in Matatu business. You should be asking me about what goes on on our roads. Why are you shying away from this question?
No, not really. Actually, I do understand a lot. And being a part player, so many questions, I can't ask you the same questions that I understand and know.
Okay, thank you, Bashir, for your question.
Thank you.
In the interest of time, Bashir, I hope he has answered your initial question.
No, it's okay, cleared.
Thank you, Bashir, and nice having you. One last question, and then one last question. Okay, fine. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you, Inspector Onyuka, for that. At this point, I'd like to invite Rotarian Mukami to give a vote of thanks. And then I'll also invite Rotaractor Wilson to present you with a token of appreciation in the form of a certificate. Rotarian Mukami.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, President Jeff, and thank you, Inspector. I think if we were given time, we would have so many questions, because I've also had a lot of run-ins with traffic police, and sometimes I feel it's so unfair. And I feel like you give different information, like what you're saying is totally contradicts what these policemen do. I remember there's a time I was arrested and I refused the policeman to drive my car, and he said I can't drive it and it has to be towed. So I ended up paying for the tow truck. And then I was wondering, if I was driving an unroadworthy car, why does it change when the policeman drives it? Like, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, we have interesting interactions with the police, and I'm so happy that you clarified a lot of the things. And I also have to say that we've seen a lot of changes in how you guys operate. So we are not going to say that you guys are not putting in a lot of effort. I had an accident recently, and true to it, the system is like you guys take the what is it called? The report on a tablet. They responded very fast, and they were very lenient, and they didn't speak badly. So actually, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I really had a pleasant interaction with the traffic police, and I have to say, kudos to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. We've noted the numbers, and unfortunately, we just lost a few people, I think last week, to reckless driving, and I hope it's something that you guys can continue working. And to all the drivers in the house, I hope you can make the work easier for the police, so that we don't have to be solving cases. We can just be like, yeah, I am the one on the road. It's my responsibility to take care of myself. So, Bwana Inspector, thank you so much. I hope that you can join us again. another day because we have not even gotten to 10% of our questions. And hopefully when we start our physical meetings, you can come and join us. Thank you so much, everyone who participated today, for all those who asked your questions, for all those who stayed to the end of the meeting. And once again, President Jeff, happy birthday. You need to share is it whiskey or brandy? Yeah, so have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Rotarian Mukami, for that vote of thanks.